Coming up, an AP headline, all businesses, bond market rout lifts mortgage costs. The Federal Reserve announced a $1.2 trillion plan 3 months ago designed to push down mortgage rates and breathe life into the housing market. But this and other big government spending programs are turning out to have the opposite effect. Rates and mortgages and U.S. Treasury debts are now marching higher as nervous bond investors fret about the resurgence of inflation. Again, I don't have the staff and crew to do this, but it's very effective with new listeners and viewers online. If listeners will go back to October 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, I said this will increase on every show. I said this will increase the amount of mortgages. And then I explained why. We've seen the IMF and World Bank do this hundreds of times in third world countries and in Western countries. This is a shake and bake. It's like people go, you're a genius. You knew how to make pancakes. No, it's right here on the box. I just put some milk and eggs in it and stirred it up, whipped it, and put it on a griddle. I mean, this is what they do. It's like, Alex Jones is incredible. He took me to Africa and took me out in the savannah and said, watch that tiger. It's going to grab that gazelle. And sure enough, it did. Hey, this guy's amazing. I don't know how he does it. It'd be like if, 15 years ago, I took you to a Bulls game and I said, now watch this. That guy right there, Michael Jordan, sometime in the next hour and a half, he's going to go over and slam dunk a ball. And then he slam dunks it and they go, how did you know that? Oh my God, you're incredible. No, it's Michael Jordan. This stuff is so simple. It's all stated on record. They openly run giant eugenics foundations. They say world government's going to be put in place to carry out our orderly extermination. And I give you all the articles and documents every day. I shoot you straight here, but you don't have to believe me. You can go check it out. If I tell you biological diversity assessments, 89, 95, 96, they all talk about getting rid of 80% of the population. I put screenshots of it in my films. You can go to the UN online and read it. I mean, I'm telling you the truth, but trust but verify. Trust but verify. Speaking of Reagan, we're going to get into all that. Here's Michael Reagan, the adopted son of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan would never get up on the air and say, go out and buy, I'll buy the bullets, I'll buy the guns, go out and kill Mark Dice, a prominent 9/11 truther that said, mail my DVDs, Terror Storm, to troops overseas to show them the history of government-sponsored terror from the CIA history page. I mean, that's from CIA.gov in the film. They bragged they staged terror attacks in Iran to overthrow the government. They staged attacks and blamed it on the government and said kind of a reverse false flag. That'd be like if the government today, some other government staged a terror attack and made it look like our government did it. Very sophisticated. What they did is they shot mosques, bombed mosques, killed imams, because Mossadegh was trying to keep the Muslim extremists out of control. He was a secular, person who wanted to build up the country, but he wouldn't give BP, British Petroleum, Industrial Shell, all the oil, and Anglo-American oil at the time. And so they went in and staged terror attacks and printed up tens of thousands of handbills saying Mossadegh had done it, as if it was from Mossadegh saying, look, I'm attacking the Muslims. See, you go back to 1953, there are the radical Muslims working for the globalists. They've radicalized the Middle East to keep them under their control. Iraq, the women, 60% of doctor and lawyer graduates, and period, 60% across the board, was women. Women didn't wear the headdresses. Women had the same rights as men. Women were in the highest levels of government and industry. Not anymore. They wear burqas. You don't see their faces. It's now an Islamic government. That's what the Muslim extremists work for the New World Order. And they think you'll never figure that out. But it's so obvious. It's the White House admits, the last White House, this White House, they have 4 al-Qaeda groups attacking Iran, bombing dams, bombing police stations, attacking school buses, trying to get the Iranians to attack the U.S. and to attack the fleet. The Iranians go on TV and say, please stop staging terror attacks. Please stop staging terror attacks. And the U.S. admits they're staging, but that isn't the U.S. That's the bankers that control us and are using us. They publicly used al-Qaeda to attack the Serbs. Same story over and over again. The Serbs defend themselves. Oh, the Serbs are engaged in a massacre. We've now got to go take the Serbs over. And the UN comes in and takes over. So that's what's going on here. Now, let me just finish with this. I'm going to do a brief recap as I covered this last hour. Then I'm going to get into all the news. Then JT Coyote's coming up. And then Joe Banister in studio. In the third hour today, I'm going to get into the latest eugenics info, some key info I want to cover there. coming up and your calls. Roanoke man charged with making online threats. This is out of the Roanoke Times, the major paper in Roanoke, Virginia. And it says he went on Infowars.com. You can read this at Infowars.com. We have links to it. It says he went on my site, and because I remember seeing the post and calling Kurt and Emma up saying delete it because we don't even have full-time moderators. We got to get them or shut it down. In fact, I think I'll just maybe shut the forums down until we are able to hire the moderators. Maybe that's the answer. But then if the money doesn't come in, I can't do it. But side issue. It says he said, go to the cop's house, get him, get his family. You think this is a threat? It isn't. It's a promise is what he said here. And I know, I saw the comments. I erased them. And the FBI calls up days later and says, you erased that. We want you to put that back up. And I said, look, I'm not putting that back up. And they said, okay, well, we're going to subpoena you for it. And I said, whatever. Then the subpoena came in, and then another subpoena, and they said, well, we can't say it has to do with this. Tell us about the Obama deception. They were like messing with me, trying to make me think it was about that, and asking my employees about my films and my work and about me. And I was going, is this about this guy making threats, or is this about Alex Jones? And they'd say, sorry, I can't tell you that. But don't talk about it, or you'll be in contempt of federal grand jury. And I'm like, okay. So I go talk to my lawyers, got to pay for that. And they say, well, you can say they came in there and subpoenaed you, but no, don't say what it's about. I go, hell, I can't say what it's about. I don't know what it's about. Well, now we know, at least one of them, it's this guy. And, the issue is what he did is wrong and bad. But what about the cop that did kill the guy in handcuffs and then lie about it and try to cover up the video surveillance, which then came out of him executing him in handcuffs? He's now been indicted. He's now been arrested. And he's going to prison. See, justice is being served. You don't need to go after the cop. Or then the guy says, go after the guy's family. How dare you? This cop's family's done nothing. We don't torture in America. We don't go after people's family in America. We're the good guys. You start doing that, you descend into total tyranny. The BATF murdering those children at Waco. We don't lower ourselves to the level of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Formerly the BATF, now the BATFE. We don't lower ourselves to their level. We don't kill children. We don't talk about it. So, just like don't walk out in front of a bus. Do you deserve life in prison like you're probably going to get in a federal prison? Probably at least to serve 15 years. You probably don't. But they're going to go ahead and throw the book at you because the cops are scared. They know they're carrying out tyranny. They know the system's imploding, and they want to intimidate people by throwing the book at them for stuff like this. Because they're scared. And I don't blame them. They're doing a lot of wrong, but a lot of them are doing good. A lot of them aren't bad. And this is rule of law, folks. Rule of law for the globalist, rule of law for us. Now, that said, here is the hypocrite in chief, Michael Reagan. I'm not going to play the clip of him saying, do things anally to children. If you want to go watch it on YouTube, you can. I'm not playing that audio here. It's too extreme. This, he said, murder children. I can't even say how he does it. This is Jeffrey Dahmer. But this is him saying, kill 9/11 truthers. He'll pay for the bullets. Soliciting murder, and he doesn't get in trouble. But this guy across the country who doesn't have 8 million listeners, he goes on a message board and says it, and he gets in trouble, which he should, but so should Michael Reagan. Here it is.
Hopefully you get one. Well, what's going to be going on, mail calls a little bit different now. They're going to be getting mail, but they're not going to be care packages. There is a group that's sending letters to our troops in Iraq and DVDs claiming 9/11 was an inside job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that they should rethink why they're fighting. Man, they ought to take these, excuse me, folks, I'm going to say this. We ought to find the people who are doing this, take them out, and shoot them. Really. Just find the people who are sending those letters to our troops to demoralize our troops and do what they're doing. You take them out. They are traitors to this country, and shoot them. You have a problem with that? Deal with it. But anybody who would do that doesn't deserve to live. You shoot them. You call them traitors. That's what they are. And you shoot them dead. I'll pay for the bullet. Mark Dice, the founder of The Resistance, which he calls a media watchdog group, says that the U.S. government was responsible for the September 11th terrorist attacks and that the armed forces